Well, hello again, and welcome to Chapter 4. I'd love to say it's great to see everybody, but as you can tell, I can't see you. I hope you're there. I hope that you're surviving this mess we have out here okay. And today we're going to be talking about Julia Wood's Chapter 4, The World of Words. Words are a fascinating thing. And we communicate through words that were just created. You know, you didn't know that that was called a table until you learned that was a table from mom and dad. You didn't learn the word eat until mom and dad or somebody taught you the word eat. They're symbols and they're arbitrary. There's no correspondence between the two of them. Like the word book, as you can see in the bookshelf behind me back here. I got a bunch of them back there. Some are thick, some are thin, some are tiny, some are fat. What does book mean? Book means little pamphlet or book or booklet or book. You know, what does the word? If you said I read a book this summer, War and Peace, or Run Dick Jane, or Run Spot Run, or Dick and Jane, or what book did you read? And they're ambiguous. You know, well, before that, the words change with time as well. When my mom was young, the word gay meant to have a frolicking, gay, good time. A happy time. We went to a party and we had a gay time. Now, the word gay is generally refers to somebody's sexual preference. Doesn't have much to do with going out and having a party. So, excuse me. And symbols are ambiguous. For example, affordable. What does affordable mean to you and to me? I'm at a point in my life right now where if I want to go to a nice restaurant and have a dinner and spend $100 on dinner, I could say that's affordable. Most of you probably can't spend $100 on dinner because it's not within your budget. So it's perspective driven. What does affordable mean? It means whatever your perspective says it means. Um, Symbols are abstract; they're not concrete. For example, today I volunteered on the Global War of Terrorism uh, ceremony they have every year, and they added 40 names to the granite pillars outside of the National Infantry Museum of soldiers that we've lost in this last year. And they told me casual attire, business casual. Well, this is what I went. To me, this is business casual. You know, I saw some people there in shorts and some people there in flip flops and some people there. Yeah, no, no, that's just not me. That's not the way I was raised. Um, so to me, this is more appropriate. Actually, it'd been more appropriate to wear a coat as well, but it was awful warm out there today, and I wasn't going to do that. So I dressed up, and this was, probably more than most of the people working had on. But that's okay. They told me they said business casual, and this is what I considered was appropriate for the event. Um, Language is culturally dependent. Where you are, where you were raised, creates a language that's different than other places. If you were raised in the South, you understand what bless his heart means. It's not necessarily a compliment, but if you said the same thing, somebody up north said the same thing, they may not have the same idea on it. One of my favorite stories is about erasers. I was at a store with a young lady, and I may have told you all this story. If I did, I apologize. But she was looking for an eraser, and she was from England, so she asked the young guy working at the store, the clerk, where the rubbers were, and he was like, ah, 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 ah. he didn't understand what she was looking for. Culturally dependent. Um, like I told you in the story about Louisiana and the shopping cart, saved. I didn't know what saved was. So, a lot of words cross cultural barriers because we have a mobile society that have brought words from one part of the world to the other, like kindergarten. Everybody understands what kindergarten is. It's actually a German word. Um, Beer. We all know what beer is. So, it's culturally dependent, but in the world we have today, cultures are starting to blend and bleed together. Meanings are subjective. What does dog mean to you? What does dog mean to somebody else? Some people may think of happy thoughts because when they get home, their dog is, "Hi, how you doing? I love you. I miss you." And other people are, "Oh my God, I'm afraid of dogs. He's going to bite my head off. He's going to tear me to pieces." I have one back here today. Yep, she's back there. See? Some of you may have thought of a little bitty thing, dog. My son and daughter-in-law have a teacup Chihuahua, and it's like, I've seen rats that big. To me, that's not a dog. That's a big dog. So it's culturally dependent. What? Let me get back to the right spot here. And it's subjective. What you think of when somebody says something may not be the same thing somebody else thinks of. Language is rule guided. Now, there is a video link that I am putting in the speaker's notes. Jamila Liskott did a TED Talk. It's very interesting. And she talks about language, 3 ways to speak English. So please go take a look at that. The link will be in the speaker's notes. I'm not going to try to give you the link over this video. Language has constitutive rules. Eye contact. Did your mom ever say, "Look at me when I'm talking to you"? Because if you look at me, I can tell you can't lie. I can tell it by looking in your eyes. Well, as a parent, I told my kids I'd lie too, and they believed it, so they tell the truth. But in Asian countries, looking at somebody in the eye that's older than you and more respected is actually impolite, for lack of a better word. But we have rules for communication. That you should be listening. We have rules that you should show interest. You should give eye contact. We have rules about emoticons that we can and can't use. Punctuation shapes meaning. I never really did good in English in school, and I can write pretty good, but I need a good editor because I still mess up some. But in reality, when you're trying to get the message across, if your punctuation is wrong, you can get the wrong message. And I only have one example here, but you can Google punctuation mistakes and get a whole bunch of them. But a woman, comma, without her comma, man is nothing. Or a woman, colon, without her comma, man is nothing. So the first one says that if there's a woman and she does not have a man because of where the comma is, she's nothing. The second one says that there's a woman and without her, man is nothing. So how you punctuate things changes the meaning. Symbolic abilities. Language defines phenomena. For example, in the Eskimo culture, there are over 50 words for snow. And it describes different types of snow. Most of us just call it snow. In Arabic, the word thig, Thlig, means both ice and snow because they don't see that much. So it's um, defines the phenomena that we deal with. The more we need to know about something or understand something, the more refined our language is about that to describe it different ways. I always joke because when I was a kid we had five colors in the crayon box, and now they have like 50. Fuchsia was not a color when I was a kid. Cinnamon was a flavor, not a color. And so as time has gone on, they've gotten more dramatic with the different colors, and therefore there's more language to use for them. Language shapes perception. Many years ago, we used to say disabled people. Now we say person with a disability. Why do we do that? Because you're putting the person first. If a lot of people think a disabled person cannot. I run 5Ks with my daughter, and people run up to me all the time and say, "Oh, you're an inspiration." I kind of want to look at them and say, "Why?" Because my legs work. Sight has nothing to do with my legs. But they have this perception of a disabled person that can't do something. So, language will shape your perception. Um, language shapes and reflects relationships. How do you and your partner talk about your relationship and the differences between y'all? Is it opposites attract and we're a good match? For example, my wife has dementia, and I tell everybody I am her memory and she's my eyes, so we complement one another. So, how do you define your relationship with language? Language evaluates and creates a value on something. And the book talks about the word friendly fire or the words friendly fire. This person's brother, I believe it was killed by friendly fire. And they said, how do you use such a word for murder? Well, I understand their point. I don't think, well, I'm not going to say they weren't, because there were probably many people that were actually shot and murdered using the friendly fire, especially during the Vietnam era. But it evaluates it. Well, it was friendly fire. It wasn't, he's dead. He's gone. So what was so friendly about it? Language reflects and shapes perception. When you introduce somebody to a friend of yours, oh, he's a real nice guy. He's really smart. Um, he's a dirtbag. He's into drugs. He's da 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 da. However you describe that, you're going to shape their perception of that person. Language can be loaded. You know, old. That's an old person. Well, it depends on your perspective to begin with, but it's loaded because what do you mean old? Old in what concept? My mom is 90. To me, that's old. I'm 60. To y'all, I'm probably old. Uh, but when you tell somebody that person is that, you are setting something up that you're giving them a preconceived notion. You're loading the answer. Language can organize perceptions. If I say to my wife, what a pretty smile you have. It's different than if I say it to a stranger. If I say it to a stranger, my wife might take that as a compliment. Thank you. If I say that to a stranger, she might say, "You dirty old man, what are you trying to do? Hit on me?" So, your perception is organized through language, friends versus enemies. A friend can joke with you that you dummy. But if somebody you don't know says you dummy, then what are you going to do? Abstract thought. Language deals with abstract thought. What do I mean by that? Love. What is love? I mean, it's not tangible. You can't hold it. You can't touch it. There's no tactile feel to it. You can't go to the store and get a gallon of love. I don't know, maybe ice cream, but no, that's right. It's an abstract concept that we're trying to define. Um, Justice. What's justice? Some people think that vigilante justice is justice, and some people think that it's a crime. Thought. What is thought? Um, in language, we can use it to create stereotypes. Jocks are dumb. Nerds are smart. Is it true? Probably not. I've met a lot of smart jocks, and met a lot of dumb nerds. But the stereotypes that we create using language allows us to put it in a little cubbyhole in our minds, so we don't have to think too much about it. A language allows for hypothetical thought. You know, it's not I'm reading this book or I'm drinking this cup of coffee or that's now. But hypothetically, you know, you're sitting here doing your studying. Is what do I want for lunch tonight or today? Oh, this sounds good and that sounds good. It's hypothetical. You're going to have lunch. You know what you're going to have, but it allows you to think about that beyond right now, more than just the present, and it allows you to for personal growth. What do I need to do to become? Allow self-reflection. How can I change? I never actually did a self-reflective thing on me until I was taking a class and I was told to use Julia Wood's standpoint theory to evaluate my life. And I used it and I looked back and saw how this person affected me or that person affected me and the choices that I made and why I made those choices. And without language, you couldn't do that. I mean, you could think about it, but how would you express it? Um, Gendered speech. Gendered speech causes a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding between genders. Now, a long time ago, some guy wrote a book, Women Are from Venus and Men Are from Mars. And it talked about how we're different. And in many ways, we're different, but in many ways, we're the same. But through play as a child, girls are taught to nurture and to compromise. Boys are taught to be competitive, and their games are rule structured. When girls play house, there's no set of rules that say this, this, and this. It's they play house. When boys play baseball, 3 strikes and you're out. So, the language created by those different gender games creates different people communicate differently. You need to have a dual perspective and be person centered. It's okay to know what you think and to know what you want, but for you to understand somebody else, you have to be able to have a perception of their point of view. Your own feelings are great, and your own thoughts are great, and they should be expressed and shared. But they should not um, they should not skew your perception of stuff. For example, if you make me nervous, that's my thought of what you're doing. It's not necessarily reality, but it's my perception. What would be better for me to say is, when you watch me, I feel nervous. You're still saying that there's nerves there, but you're not blaming it on that other person. And if you want to have an interpersonal relationship with somebody, They can't be on the defensive all the time. So instead of, saying, you make me mad or you make me nervous, when I ask you a question and you don't answer me, I get mad. When I do something and you watch me, I get nervous. I feel nervous. So you're not blaming the other person then. That is Julia Wood. No, I'm sorry. You humiliated me was another one. I felt humiliated when you told my problems. Somebody else can't humiliate you. They can't, when I was young, they used to say, sticks and stones will hurt my bones, but words will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not true. Words can hurt. But it's how you perceive those words that and how you handle it that makes it where you can function or not. Instead of saying you humiliated me, blaming somebody else, I felt humiliated when you did this, when you shared my problems. You need to respect others' feelings and thoughts, just as you need to demand your thoughts and feelings be respected. Because if they're not, you will have an unhealthy interpersonal relationship. So that's chapter 4. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm doing the best I can with these videos. I know I'm not the greatest. I know I'm not the most enthusiastic. I'm much better in person. I really am. But we have to deal with this. So you have my phone number. You have my email address. You know how to contact me if you have any questions. Feel free. I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.